Do you find yourself drawn to the darker, weirder things in life? Always found baddies more interesting and compelling, that kind of thing. Me too. Well, like me, you might like this artwork. I've loved this artwork for a long time, but I don't know much about it. So let's have a look at The Garden of Earthly Delights by the artist Heironymous Bosch. There are some things in the world that are amazing. People or their achievements, art, science, philosophies, inventions, all inspiring me to find the amazing in me and be amazing whatever. The world is an amazing place. Or is it? Sometimes I'm not sure. Sometimes I can't see it. Sometimes I love everything.
Greetings.
Sometimes everything does my head in.
Alright.
So I'm on a mission to find the amazing in the world and myself, and to be amazing whatever. Heironymous Bosch's life is satisfyingly unknown, the quintessential enigmatic artist. I think knowing little for sure about someone or something lets your own mind fill in the gaps and makes them more interesting. If someone's overexposed and you know every little thing about them, I think you lose that intrigue. And I think that a lot with modern social media. Reality is often a letdown. When I can see and know their reality, often they're not actually that cool or interesting. I don't want to see Van Gogh's breakfast. I want to imagine him obsessing over his art 24/7, like a tormented, consumed sadness machine. I don't want to know Jeff Buckley's thoughts on geopolitics. I want to imagine him crying, melted over his guitar.
Follow our socials. I'll do all the marketing, shall I?
What we do know about Heironymous Bosch is that that's not his real name. In around 1450, the exact date isn't known, Johan van Eyck was born in the city of Bosch, in what would be modern-day Netherlands. And from Bosch, he took his new surname, Bosch. His name, Johan, is Middle Dutch for Jerome, and Heironymous is Latin for Jerome. Heironymous Bosch. He's had a bit of a rebrand, and I like it. Johan van Eyck versus Heironymous Bosch.
Can I paint you a picture?
I'm going to art you all over. What do you think about Heironymous Bosch? Do you like it, or does it sound too much like a transformer?
Sounds like a medical condition. Like, yeah, I'm really sorry, sir, you're not well. You've got a right Heironymous Bosch.
He's got a Bosch, you say? Oh, an absolutely Heironymous one.
When you first look at Bosch's work and style, I think you'd be hard pushed to decide on when it was created. If you put it with some Salvador Dali, you'd easily conclude it was quite modern, if not bang up to date with current fantasy artists. Or, right at the other end of the scale, you could say it looks like those cool medieval illustrations.
Cool. Alright, cool guy.
But Heironymous Bosch is a painter from the Renaissance, living in the late 15th, early 16th century, meaning he lived and worked during the lives of Renaissance heavyweights Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo and Raphael.
You know any Renaissance artists that art turtles?
Would Heironymous have been a better name for a Ninja Turtle than Donatello? Yes. Yes, it would.
Michelangelo is a party dude, and Heironymous does some pretty weird pictures. Well, they're really weird actually, aren't they?
You only need to look at the work of Splinter's favourite artists and recognise how old it looks. It's grand, it's got gravitas, but it's undeniably of a different time. Look at some of Bosch's work, and this guy could be doing concept art for a weird new movie that's coming out. It's often said of a revolutionary creative that they are before their time, and I never really liked that, but in this case it works. Bosch was before his time, particularly the surrealist elements of his work. Surrealism would of course come, but not for 400 years.
Be amazing, whatever.
That's a bit of background on Heironymous Bosch, and I'd encourage you to look more into him and all of his art, but I want to talk to you specifically about one of my favourite paintings, his Garden of Earthly Delights. Now, I'm obviously by no means an art critic or historian.
Just opinionated enough to make a YouTube video.
So, in doing the research for this video, I've purposefully stayed away from really real art world analysis of Heironymous Bosch. Partly because, well, you can read that information elsewhere. And Also because I'd just be regurgitating other people's thoughts and information. And what's the point in that? So, although for the most part this is my subjective opinion, if I've missed any facts or get anything wrong, then please do allow me that slack.
That means don't put anything mean in the comments.
But the research and reading I have done also educates me as I go along, and I get new thoughts and new opinions that meander around as I make the video. And there are things that I don't know, as in that I'm undecided about. Like there should be when you're learning anything new, I suppose. I read these things and I can understand both points of view, and I just don't know.
What, like flat Earth?
Well, no, not like that. I don't see both those points of view. Take this for example. Bosch was a member of the illustrious Brotherhood of Our Blessed Lady, a properly orthodox religious group, and as such would have surely been very concerned with really ramming home the teachings of the Bible and the dangers of going against them, of sinning. And the church at the time doesn't just want new followers.
They want the moolah.
Pardon?
They want the bread, the peas.
That's the thing. Was the Garden of Earthly Lights not just a big old advert for heaven and avoiding hell, but a money-making tool for the church? Look at the practice of selling indulgences.
What's that? Sounds delicious.
It's basically a way of paying to absolve your sins. Like, you want this flute up your bum, mate? Or this bird guy eating you? Didn't think so? Well, I've just the thing. Pay up. But on the other hand, Bosch is an artist, a proper artist. I know times were different and religion was super important. It was more than a religion. Society was built around it. But an artist's art means everything to them.
Nice of you to say so.
I'm not saying he was necessarily mocking the church, as has been suggested by some, but that making good art, his art, is the goal. One of the main reasons I love this piece is how unique it is. This means something to him. It's his. It's just had to come out. Surely if he wanted to scare people into giving money to the church or living a less heretic life, I'm not so sure a tree man is necessarily the way to go. If you were going to show people being pooped to scare them about people being pooped, that's a weird way to show people being pooped.
Poop. Poop.
As I say, I can see both opinions on that, and you know what? I think that's okay. The Garden of Earthly Delights is a triptych.
Triptych?
Triptych.
Tiptrick.
Triptych. Triptych is 3 wooden boards, hinged, that when closed have an image on the front, and when open reveal 1 large and 2 small images. A bit like a cupboard or a wardrobe.
Speaking of wardrobe, we need to talk about your wardrobe.
Why? What's up with it?
Well, let's start with you're too old to wear a cap backwards.
Harsh. On the front of this triptych is the 3rd day of creation, when dry land and plants were created. God can be seen looking at his creation in a dome, a firmament. And remember, when this is painted, Copernicus hadn't yet proposed his astrological model, putting the sun at the centre of the universe, with the Earth orbiting it, and Galileo, with his fancy telescopes to disprove the firmament further, hadn't even been born yet. When the triptych is opened, it reveals 3 separate pictures, which is unusual for a triptych, which normally has 3 parts of the same image. And this is something else I like about this piece. The 3 pictures, the way that this presents a narrative and tells a story. I find storytelling techniques really fascinating, like when they're in stuff that you don't think of as stories. And here, there is literally a beginning, a middle, and an end.
It looks like a Renaissance Where's Wally. Like, where's Wally? Nope, not here. This is just a weird tongue guy. Over here? Nope, this is just a weird giraffe thing.
On the left panel is the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve, when everything is still okay. Us humans haven't messed things up just yet. The main central board is now, or then, when Bosch is. It's earthly life, all sorts of sins going on.
Nice.
On the right hand panel is hell, the hell that awaits as a result of living the way shown in the central panel. It's full of all kinds of baddies. But this is the thing, as I mentioned earlier, I often find baddies more interesting.
Well, I'm a goodie, and I'm bloody interesting, thank you very much.
There is obviously a lot going on in the painting, and I love that. I think this is the kind of painting that you can look at again and again and see so many different things. Imagine you're in 15th century Netherlands. What are you doing?
I imagined I'm in 15th century Netherlands and my outfit is 10 out of 10.
Okay. Well, you're in 15th century Netherlands. You don't watch TV or film. You probably can't even read. You probably spend your day doing your jobs, farming, cooking, cleaning, whatever. And you go to your church, like you do all the time. But this time, you see this thing. You take a turn to get a closer look at it. There's so much going on. You don't know where to look. At this point, you consume precious little creative information, content, if you will. What is this that I'm seeing? The church tells you that the things in this image are real, that this is a picture of something that exists, waiting for you. So you are, well, you're scared. You're staring at one thing, trying to make sense of it, but then you notice something else. What does that mean? But then it's time to sit down, get back to your pew, and so you just can't wait to see it again and see what else you notice. As you walk home, you talk about it with your mate, and they saw something that you didn't see. Can't wait to see even more now. This is cinema, isn't it? Or TV? Is it horror? Maybe the same things that go off in our brain when we watch horror is going off in their same 15th century brains.
Nothing goes off in my brain when I see horror, mate.
And why not?
Yeah, why not, tough guy?
Seen it all, mate. Lived it. Lived it all.
A lot of what is going on in the Garden of Earthly Delights is related to a direct piece of symbology. This represents that. The owl represents the devil. The strawberry represents lust and desire, or just things that were culturally known and accepted or common at the time. I can't possibly go through the literally hundreds of examples of symbology in the picture. There are a lot. Without having Bosch here to explain it, we don't know, but some historians believe that you could pick most of what is going on and find a line in the Bible, part of a psalm or something.
Like those awfully fun pictures where you've got to find the band from the picture?
Yeah, a bit like that, I suppose. But I don't think it's essential to know all this information to enjoy the painting. In fact, you don't need to at all. Art is what something does to you. It belongs to you as soon as you look at it. So rather than going through the entire work and explaining every detail, which I couldn't do justice, I'll leave some good links in the description of people doing that really well. And instead, I thought I'd pick out some the bits that I find interesting and some favourites, and we can have a look at those. So which is your favourite?
Let's have a look. That weird silver giraffe and two-legged doggo.
That weird silver giraffe and two-legged doggo. Cyriac of Ancona was an explorer who documented things that he saw in his travels in his journal. Lots of artists, not just Bosch, would reference or just outright copy these drawings into their own art. Think about it. 15th century, who's going to know what a giraffe is? How wild and peculiar would it seem? Imagine describing a giraffe to someone who had never seen one. So it's really tall, yeah? What, like big long legs? Well, kinda, but more because of its neck. What? Yeah, its neck makes it tall. What, like its back? No, it's just got a really long neck. Oh, and it's got horns. Wow, okay. Sharp ones? No, they're furry. When Bosch painted the Garden of Earthly Delights, it was still thought that the Garden of Eden might actually exist somewhere undiscovered. And I guess, if these weird giraffe things really exist, then who's to say a two-legged dog couldn't exist somewhere? Same with the hell panel. If you really believe hell exists somewhere, populated by real creatures, who knows what they could look like? I suppose similar to how we guess at aliens and how they might look on other worlds today.
Yes, hello. Can I help you at all?
The demon choirmaster thing. It's noticeable how many musical instruments there are in hell. There's all sorts of instruments, which seems a strange thing to put in hell, particularly for an artist. But at the time, that was probably the leisure time indulgence.
Party time, if you will.
Yeah, parties, enjoying yourself. That is when we give into our senses. It's when we are at our most sinful, at a party. Full of music, the 15th century vino is flowing. Plays that banger Jan, we are on it tonight. Sins aplenty. And back then, they'll have been very aware of the attraction and indulgence in music itself. something people probably wanted more and more of at the cost of discipline, which to us, all these hundreds of years later, might seem strange, but replace music then with mobile phones now, or TV when that was invented. These things that let us indulge our senses, or that are gateways to limitless pleasure. That without discipline and restraint, we can easily overindulge and send our souls to hell.
Wow, okay, somebody doesn't like TikTok.
This brilliantly weird singer choir master is belting out a tune like, yeah, you thought you liked music? Well, get a load of this torture soundtrack that I've written here on this guy's butt. The Prince of Hell. Now, seems like this is the guy, the main guy in hell. The Prince of Hell, the Prince of Darkness. I don't really know how you could seriously describe or even analyse this creature, but it's brilliant in there.
I think I've met that guy at a pub in Bradford.
Look at him, eating souls and pooping them out into a cesspit for eternity. Underneath are representations of the deadly sins. This greedy guy being made to poop all his money into the cesspit. The glutton is having to throw up forever. The sloth thinks he's chilling, but nope, here comes a toady demon thing. And this vain woman is forced to look at her reflection on the butt cheeks of this tree guy for eternity. Tree Man. This big tree man is possibly a self-portrait of Bosch. There's mixed demon-human relationships dancing around on his head, but this chirpy little demon seems to be having a right good time. Compared to the rest of hell, spending eternity in a pub doesn't seem so bad, even if it is inside a giant tree man's butt.
Unless someone in there is banging on about real ale. Ugh, in that case, send me to the poop pit, mate.
Have a look around and let me know in the comments your favourite characters or areas. If you love people with things up their bum, there's plenty for you to go at. As interesting as it is to find every little bit of meaning in a painting, and I do think that's part of a complicated piece's charm, I think we can get a bit bogged down in analysing a painting like this. I know I have a little bit. I love this painting because it seems so random and creative and dare I say fun.
Well, if that's your idea of fun.
I think a frustration that I've felt while researching this artwork is that the more I've read, the less joy I've kind of got from it. I feel like, oh wait, what was that meant to mean again? And what was that meant to represent? And oh, well, I think this, but, that's probably wrong. So I do want to keep a bit of my own analysis and thoughts as I look at it. And I think that's what art should be, really. You project your thoughts and feelings onto it. You see your own experiences in things that other people don't have or would be totally different for somebody else. It should open you up to being amazing, to thinking and feeling. Take Bosch. I've been trying to find the words for why I love this piece so much, and I think it's because there's a whole spectrum of feelings here. Some of this stuff is funny, and I've not heard that or read that in many places. Historians even saying pignon with a straight face.
Haha, pig nuns.
But to me, a lot of this stuff is humorous, whether it was intended to be or not. The way that God is looking at us. Well, hello. And what's this little guy reading? Oh, the devil's watching. The way the faces and gestures are so brilliantly depicted, I can almost imagine what they're saying or thinking. Everyone back in the egg? What are you looking at? And because there are things going on that are so weird, you can't help but think, a lot of these people are idiots, and that's hilarious. Some of it, though, hell, it's pretty scary, it's dark and vicious. I think some of it's sad. And that's something else I've not found mentioned when researching Bosch. His state of mind.
What, like tripping his nuts off?
No, but you're right, there is this idea of ergotism.
Damn ergotism. Those poor ergots. Why must they suffer such prejudice?
That's not what it is. Some people think that through consuming food infected with a fungus containing lysergic acid,
LSD,
that he was tripping when he came up with this stuff. But I don't buy it. When I say his state of mind, I mean more what his mood and personality were like. I think he must have been a deep, interesting man. But I think he was sad. When he was 13, his hometown burned down. The fire destroyed more than 4,000 homes, and Bosch's childhood home was one of them. It's no doubt it's in his art. Those fires at the top of hell, that's a town burning down. I mean, I know it's hell, but it's a town burning down. And fire is famously in many Bosch works. Just think about what that would do to you at any age, let alone 13. Being in a town burning down. The fear, no fire brigades like now, no TV images to familiarise yourself with disasters. No, just here you are, hot, burning, confused and scared. And what did he lose? Who did he lose? We know it's part of his art, it must have been part of his personality. That's why when I look at the world that Bosch has created, I think it's his world, a world he has control over, so unlike the world that he lives in that has caused him such heartbreak and heartache. A world full of places and creatures that he has made, some for his own amusement, giving him that little chuckle maybe as he did, or a bit of a buzz. Some to maybe get out the darker, crappier parts of himself that he feels ashamed of, to confess or plead guilty to himself about, or expose or punish those parts of himself. Yes, he was using known symbology in a lot of it, but within that guideline, I think he was still painting stuff that just made him feel something. The Garden of Earthly Delights is amazing. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you haven't been aware of the Garden of Earthly Delights before, I hope you think that it's amazing and your world is a little bit more enriched because of this and pieces like it exist. I've loved finding out more about it and talking about it. If you think there's something else similar that I'd like, please do let me know in the comments so I can continue this journey in search of things that make life worth living. Because of the Garden of Earthly Delights, because of everything, despite everything. Be amazing whatever.
Be amazing whatever.